I sure did.
Good evening, everyone. It is now time to start the Community Development Committee meeting for October 4th, 2021. It is 6:03 p.m. Roll call, please. We will have roll call in a second. Thank you.
Chairman Rivera.
Present.
Alderman Moiseo.
Here.
Alderman Florian.
Here.
Alderman Hayes.
Here.
Alderman Turner.
Here.
Thank you. Item C, motion to approve the minutes of the Community Development Committee meeting on Tuesday, September the 7th, 2021. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Item D, motion to approve the minutes of the Special Community Development Committee meeting of Monday, September 20th, 2021. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item number 2, now we're going to have audience time. And right now we will give, are we going to do the presentation first?
Audience time.
Okay, now with audience time, anybody would like to say or have any comments regarding any of the items on the agenda, if they could please step up to the podium. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Kevin Considine. I'm the president and CEO of Lake County Partners. We're the economic development nonprofit for the county. We are a public-private partnership. So from our start, the city of Waukegan has been a longtime partner. In fact, for one of the issues later in the meeting, we have valued partners on both sides. So I'm here not so much to take a position on a particular item, but rather I'd like to share some context around particularly the economic growth of the transportation, distribution, and logistics sector in Lake County. Jobs in this sector have grown tremendously over the last couple of years. We're probably all aware of that. And it's been one of the sectors that's done really very well through the last couple of years. And those companies that are doing that growth, they're continuing to grow. And those are companies like Visual Pack and Medline and Learning Resources and, of course, Amazon. Wages for those jobs, as we see that data starting to come through, are up upwards of 50% or in some cases more over the last couple of years. And the demand for those jobs continues to increase. Interestingly, as we're starting to see the automation for many of these roles, and that automation will come, we're starting to see that automation starting to create new higher level technician jobs in many of these warehouse and distribution roles, which actually we're seeing fit really well with the program expansions that CLC has made here on their Lakeshore campus here downtown with their mechatronics program, as well as the new Ignite program at the high school, which we helped launch. So these are important roles, and we expect that job growth to continue. And we know that one of the challenges that comes with that growth is truck parking, and that'll be an issue, an item that you all will have the chance to discuss a little bit later. And it's one that's not unique to Waukegan. It's one that we've encountered in a number of municipalities, even just this year. but I wanted to share some that context around the growth of the role, and to know that we certainly expect the demand for these jobs and this growth to continue over the coming year.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Hello? Better. Okay, thanks. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I apologize in advance. I'm not a public speaker. But I do, my name is Gwen Williams. Yes, my name is Gwen Williams. And my husband and I are residents of Heritage Green Apartment Complex in Waukegan. And I do not know a lot about the proposal, except that I can say that, you know, we are strongly opposed to yet another business in our neighborhood that would bring even more sound pollution and air pollution, increase the noise levels. And I say additional because TKG Industries, if any of you are familiar with them, is on the other side of our back parking lot. And they've been there a few years now, and we live in a full-time, year-round construction zone already. The pollution, visual, noise, air pollution. If I walk from my apartment to my car, I'm already covered in dust. So anyway, with what I understand is being proposed, this is really in a residential or right next to a residential area, to have trucks, as I understand it, which would be not just a 9 to 5, but like a 24/7 trucks coming and going. The pollution from the diesel fuel and trucks backing up. I already hear beep, beep, beep all day long. I already have to shout to be heard on my patio. So I just want to go on record as saying I oppose this, and I don't think I'm the only one that does. So thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comments.
My name is Francis Golden. I'm an attorney, but I represent Briarwoods Investments, LLC, and the Heritage Green Apartments, LLC. I just want to emphasize what one of our residents has already brought forward to you, the potential for degradation of their lives. And we're talking about 516 units of housing. This is not an insignificant tiny group, but 516 families that are going to be affected by this. The proposal of a 24/7 operation at this site, where the emphasis is going to be upon the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Period, when people are attempting to sleep, most people, are going to be affected by the backing up, the beeping, required by OSHA, ways of coupling and uncoupling, is going to be a serious problem for these people as far as the quality of their life. Second of all, I want to emphasize, as one of our residents did, the potential for pollution. If you're going to have these trucks running 24/7, you're going to have significant diesel exhaust fumes, which is going to be a problem for anybody that has any kind of breathing or pulmonary problems, and that's just going to make their lives even more problematic than it already is. Third, the imposition of a impermeable surface where there is now basically grass and dirt leads to potential for flooding. Now, I understand that the plans are tempted to, and it was later, this is a later imposition for a retention pond, but there's no testing or studies that show that this is going to be significant enough to really take care of potential for flooding that is going to occur in this area. This, the owners of the properties here contribute $450,000 in property taxes each year, 516 units. And their lives are going to be adversely affected by the noise, the pollution, the constant problems. I know that they've talked about the traffic is not going to be a problem. I think that they are being overly optimistic in their studies, because traffic with this kind of truck movements is going to be even worse to an already significantly burdened traffic area.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else?
Thank you very much for the time. My name is Jaisal Patel. I'm an owner of the Briarwood and Heritage Green Apartments here in Waukegan and have been for over the last 20 years. I'm also a real estate professional and expert in commercial, residential, and industrial real estate, including hospitality as well. I want to read to you from the staff memo dated August 31st from Russ Tomlin, because it's very important, and these issues have not been addressed from what I've seen by this body or by anybody here in Waukegan. So staff recommends denial of this proposed text amendment. Allowing the outdoor storage of semi-trailers as a principal use rather than accessory to another industrial use provides few benefits to the city while creating negative impacts for the city and surrounding properties. Truck lots contribute to traffic congestion, inflict wear and tear on roads, and generate significant amounts of noise. Conversely, establishing a truck lot suitable for outdoor storage of semi-trailers requires a minimal investment to a property, doing little to increase assessed values that might offset those negative effects. Staff also has concerns that allowing this use, even as a conditional use in the I-1 district, could encourage the use of scarce, vacant, industrially zoned passive land for a passive use that does not generate jobs or significant economic activity. I've heard claims that this parking lot will generate 300 jobs in Waukegan. There's no proof. I've heard claims that not approving this parking lot will take jobs away from Waukegan. There is no proof. Nothing has been provided. Nobody has been challenged with that. I can say that over 1,000 residents, over 700 voters live next door. And they speak. They speak at the voting booth. They speak with their dollars. And so do people in all communities. So to get away from that, what I would ask this body and the city of Waukegan to do is to plan carefully. Zoning districts are put in place for a reason. Planners are hired for a reason. They are professionals. They know what they're doing. These recommendations, these policies, these plans are put in place for a reason. If truck parking is what's desired, if supporting of the industrial distribution economy is what's desired, then do that in a thoughtful and well-planned way. Place streets, place properties, place zoning, ancillary and supportive uses, gas stations, fast food. There's nothing between this location and their destination that will provide any revenue to this city whatsoever. I don't see a traffic pattern that's beneficial to this city. So while I do support the business, and I'm a customer, and I'm sure all of us are customers of that business, and we all want to generate business, this is negative to that effect. And so I just wanted to read from that staff memo, and it's very important. Should anyone vote in favor of either the change in zoning or the
Thank you
zoning
very
text
much.
amendment? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, if no further audience comments, oh, we have one more?
My name is Babu Patel, and I am also one of the owner in a project. As already have been spoken, these trucks stop or parking place, how it will get there, what kind of road it will provide, so in case there is a two truck reaching each other, how wide road will be. Those truckers, even they are not staying there, still they will need bathroom facility and other have been not shown or indicated anywhere. Further, how many truck have been told different time we have understand different number. Sometimes they say 90, sometimes say 93, sometimes they say 98, sometimes it's 130. So still we're not finding exactly what's going to be there. And why this location you have to be and other location, there is big Waukegan, there is a lot of vacant land away from the resident and stuff. And for 300 job, what unfinded facts bringing in front of here, I think need to look into it more, and there is more questions to be asked, and if properly not answer or properly answer, that judgment can be brought to you again. So we request all trustees, please carefully analyze and vote for it to turn down right now this project request. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name's Jerry Callahan. I represent the Kennedy Construction. The petitioner, do you want to hear from us when that comes up, or do you want us to speak now? It's not clear to me on your rules.
I would prefer when it came up.
Sure,
Thank you. Okay, there being no other, yeah, we're open audience time right now for the Community Development Committee and any items on the committee agenda. Okay, thank you very much. Number 3, old business, there being none. Number 4, we will move on to new business. The first item, item A, zoning calendar number 2635, the conditional use permit for a banquet facility at 206 North Genesee Street, within the building at 202-208 North Genesee Street. May I have a first
I'd like to make the motion, sir.
and a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? Is the petitioner here? Would you like to make a comment, ma'am?
My name is Mary Lockhart White. I'm the CEO for Community Action Partnership of Lake County. And I just want to thank the Commission and Aldermans for considering this for us. As you know, we've been around for 50 years. We have a very good partnership with Genesee, and we look forward to moving forward with the banquet hall, and I ask that you consider that for us. Thank you.
Thank you. If no further comments, may I have a vote?
Question, if I may.
Yes, Alderman Turner.
Would there be a liquor license involved here?
I'm just changing.
Oh, okay. Do we know, Mary, are you going to have a liquor license? Yes. Okay. And has that been processed yet, or that comes later? Okay, great, thank you. Thank you, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Turner. Any other questions? May I have a vote, please?
Alderman Hayes,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Chairman Rivera.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Item B, zoning calendar 2636 for a text amendment to sections 10 13.3-4 and 13.2 to allow storage of semi-trailers as a conditional use and define such use. Okay, I was just informed that we will consider all four items, B, C, D, E, because they all pertain to the same. So again, do I have a,
I'll make it.
yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Second it?
I'll make the second.
Any questions?
No.
Alderman Hayes.
Couple of questions and comments. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to thank the residents that came out today to tell us your opinion about the proposed development. I'd like to also thank Kennedy Construction for graciously inviting me to come out and walk the property. I really appreciate that opportunity. I want to let everybody know that I've been to the property 5 times. I've been there at various times of the day. I went out yesterday. I knocked on doors on the street. I took measurements of the street, and have tried to do the best I can to make sure that I'm armed with as much information. I've also taken a look at the studies that were conducted, and I'd like to make a few points about this. First of all, I recommend denial, and I'm going to tell you why. I strongly encourage you to deny this. For the reasons that have already been stated, I think that that's incredibly important, compelling, and that's probably enough for all of us. But I want to speak to a couple of things. First is traffic. We've been told that there's going to be a minimum of 96 trucks a day. That's a minimum of 96 trucks, and it's probably, as somebody stated earlier, overly optimistic. We all know, because we all order from Amazon, for better or for worse, that during Prime Day and holidays and really every day, they're very busy, they're not slowing down, and there's going to be more trucks. I believe the report said 96 trucks at a minimum, with exponentially more trucks at various times of the year. I knocked on the doors of residents that live on Lakewood Street. While they may be just to the north and they may not actually see the trucks, they have to drive down this street multiple times a day to get to work or wherever it is they're going, and they will be playing chicken with the trucks. I'm going to tell you why. Because the road is narrow. I'd be shocked if a car and a semi can fit down this portion of the road at the exact same time. So it's going to be detrimental to the residents of the street, but also where the proposed parking lot is, they're going to have to make a couple of tight turns even to get back out to Washington. So setting aside the wear and tear that we're going to see on the roads, and the city's going to have to foot the bill to fix, there's going to be a left-hand turn, if I'm getting it right, out of the parking lot, and then they're going to have to make a quick turn onto Monroe. And when you're on Monroe, you're going to make a quick jog to the left or to the right to turn onto Knoll or LeBaron. We've all seen a semi-truck turn. It's not artful. And it's going to run over the land. It's going to take out whatever is in its way. And that may be a little bit of speculation, but I'm telling you what, it is going to be a very quick jog to get multiple trucks, hundreds of trucks every single day out of this facility. That's just to get them to the main road. Once they get to the main road, what are they going to do? They're going to stop, and they're going to wait for traffic on Washington. Washington is a very busy street. They're going to turn right or they're going to turn left. I believe it's a right-hand turn onto Washington. Meanwhile, there could be multiple trucks idling, waiting to turn. Now, what's important to keep in mind here is that while on Lakewood, there may only be 5 or 7 houses, right? There's just a few houses. We already know that there's huge apartment buildings behind the facility, so the traffic may not impact those buildings. But there are multiple apartment buildings on the other side of the sports complex where people are driving. I can't tell you the exact number, but there are a lot of residential units there. They use these exact same roads. So they're going to have trouble getting in and out, right? Let's just take out, for example. So they're going to be behind the trucks. They're going to be kind of doing battle with the trucks to turn just to get out to Washington Street. Now, think about the trucks getting in onto Knoll or onto LeBaron. They have to turn left to do that. I took a look at the left-hand turn lanes. The left-hand turn lanes can maybe fit 3 cars. A semi-truck is maybe it'll fit 1 semi-truck, maybe a truck and a half. So now we're talking about the backup onto Washington. of, multiple trucks trying to get in the left-hand turn lane, or even if they're turning right, stopping, coming to a complete stop, having to make that turn onto Knoll or LeBaron. If there's a car that's coming out, it's going to be tricky. Stop me if I'm going over. It's going to be tricky. But I'm telling you, traffic volume and the traffic patterns are a mess. I am all in favor of logistics in Lake County. I am all in favor of a private party's ability to sell their land and to contract with somebody and to make a profit. That's all great. But I'm telling you that there is no benefit to the residents of this area at all. And there's no economic benefit to the city. Now, there's one other point that I want to make. 2 more points, real quick. Noise. It's already been established. It's going to violate the noise ordinance. We already know that that's going to happen. It's going to violate it during the day, and if it's not violating it at night, it's going to come very, very close. None of us, I would be up in arms, I'd be pounding on that lectern, similar to what I'm doing right now, if there were going to be trucks backing up in my neighborhood, on my street, right behind my house, at all times of the night. 2/3 of the traffic will be between 6 o'clock at night and 7 o'clock in the morning, all night. Noise pollution, diesel pollution, we've heard all about it. This is the most important point. Why would we change an existing ordinance to accommodate something that has no economic benefit to the city? Why are we going to go out of our way, take an affirmative step to do something that people are clearly opposed to? It doesn't make any sense. If the ordinance already allowed for it, then we'd be taking this in a different direction and it'd be a different type of consideration, but that's not the case. Why are we going to adopt a text amendment that is then going to allow for additional parking lots throughout the city that we don't already want? Why do we know we don't want them? We don't want them because we have the ordinance in place to prevent that. So, there's a couple of different reasons or ways you can attack this, but traffic, noise, and taking an affirmative step to allow something that nobody seems to want doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. So I am recommending denial to the council tonight. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. And thank you to Kennedy Construction, because they've reached out to me many times. We've talked about this. They gave me the information to help me make my decision. So I commend them for that, and thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Hayes. We'll hear a short presentation from the petitioner, and then we will continue with any other follow-up questions.
Hello again. Jerry Callahan from O'Donnell Callahan LLC in Green Oaks. We represent the petitioner. You know this property, it's 7 acres, it's been described. It's zoned in an industrial zone today. It's I-1. So a lot of the comments that have been made are going to be applicable to many of the uses within that zone. One of the permitted uses is distribution and warehousing. So trucks are allowed in this zone. They were contemplated by the city when it adopted its zoning ordinance. The Plan Commission heard this. There was a comment that there was no evidence that there were going to be 300 jobs. Sure, there was evidence. There was sworn testimony under oath by a representative of Amazon that if you approve this, they can have as many as 800 jobs at this site. If you don't, they'll probably have about 500. So it really has to do with how many jobs can this facility on Waukegan Road accommodate if you approve this and if you don't. Those are the two things. Now, does Amazon currently provide jobs to the city? Yes. 150 residents of the city of Waukegan work at the first Amazon building that's in operation right now out on the Bridgepoint North property. The building we're talking about right now has not been, it's been leased by Amazon. You see the sign up there. It's not occupied yet. So the question is, how many jobs can this site accommodate? And it is largely dependent on having surplus trailer parking. Now the problem is they have looked all over the place for a location for truck parking. It just doesn't, they couldn't find any place else other than this. Would they like to be closer? Of course. They'd like to be at Bridgepoint North, but there's no place to put it. The other thing I think that's worth considering is Bridgepoint North has 400 trailer parking spaces right now, not loading docks. They have over 400. There are apartments to the east of that property, to the north of that property, and townhomes to the west. So they coexist with residential properties next door. So I think those are things that are worth considering. What we're talking about here is a text amendment that, if approved, would enable somebody to apply for a conditional use permit for trailer parking. That parking can only be for a building, a dedicated building on another site. This is not a speculative venture. You can't go out and say, we have trailer parking, who wants to come here? It's got to be tied to a building like the Amazon building that we're talking about. The other point I'd like to make is about the noise comments that have been made. I talked to, and he's here this evening, to the noise consultant who prepared the study. If you look at that noise study, there are two tables that talk about whether or not the Waukegan standards are being met. Table 3 says predicted sound levels of residential properties based on average source levels. The other one is based on highest source levels. Well, if you take a look at your ordinance, it's for continuous sound levels. That's average sound levels. So table 3 shows that both during the daytime and at nighttime, this facility, this use, would meet the noise standard of the city of Waukegan. There would be no need for I'm fogging up. There'd be no need for a sound wall or any other noise attenuating adjustments to the property. Table 4 was put in there to show you that if it's a stricter standard, and only in the evening would it not meet that. So this facility will meet the Waukegan noise standards. Stormwater, we have our civil engineer here if you want to talk to him. The Lake County Stormwater Management Commission just adopted new standards for the Watershed Development Ordinance, which covers every municipality in Lake County. They've made it stricter, and this facility has been designed to that. Stormwater will be collected, managed, and released at a controlled rate, consistent with these more restrictive standards. Yeah, these are some views looking to the southeast rather, of how it would look. It does show the apartments in the background. We made a point of making sure that you could see that. But everything over west of those apartments is industrial. There are some houses I know down here, but essentially it's an industrial area. So I think it's important to consider that this is how the city is determined that they want to zone this property. It's industrial. Okay, another comment was made in the staff report that we would need setback variations in order to install this facility. That's not the case. That's only, you need these transition yards, which are greater if you're abutting residential zoning or business zoning. To the north of this property is a strip of industrially zoned property that is not owned by the petitioner. If you look at the zoning map, it's industrial. To the east, on the north part of the property, is zoned industrial. To the east of the stormwater basin is residential, but the stormwater basin is much wider than 45 feet. So there's no need for any setback variations. If the fence is too far forward on the front yard, that could be moved back. That is not an issue. It could be located in order to meet any setback there. And I haven't had the chance to look and see whether I think that is a violation, but we don't want to apply for a variation. We would simply move the fence. I can't speak to the traffic other than that we did provide a traffic study. We have our traffic engineer here this evening. If you want to hear comments from him, he can comment on those. I think all of the routes that are being used are truck routes. We're not suggesting that these trucks use streets that were not designed for trucks. These are truck routes under the state, county, and I believe the city's regulations. There was also a comment that the principal building that would be served by the trailer parking area doesn't have to be in the city. We have no problem if you want to add that to the text amendment to say the business that's being served by the trailer parking is a business in the city of Waukegan. This is Amazon is located in the city of Waukegan, and we're happy to have that added to the text amendment. With regard to pollution, this is not a location where trucks are just going to be sitting there idling. They're going to come from Waukegan Road and either drop a trailer or pick up a trailer. There'll be a time that takes to hook up or disconnect, but that's it. There's no reason for a truck to be here other than to pick up or drop off a trailer. That's the only purpose of this facility because they don't have any place to park them over there. All of the activities for the business are going to occur over at Bridgepoint North on Waukegan Road. Again, we have all of our consultants here. We also have a representative of Amazon here if you care to hear from them, or I can try to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
I'd just like to hear from the traffic study engineer, please.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Evening. My name is Louis Abuna. I'm a principal with KLOA. Do you have specific questions or?
What are your estimates of traffic, the increase of traffic? Obviously, it's going to increase somewhat. Do you have any estimates of that?
Yes, I mean, based on information provided to us by Amazon, estimate the number of trucks estimated would be 92 per day, spread out throughout the day. You know, so there's really no high concentration of truck traffic, particularly during the rush hour. So it's spread out throughout the day, which will help minimize the amount of truck traffic, the concentration of trucks. You know, there were you know, points were brought up relative to the intersections and the left turn lanes, and you know, given the, like I said, the frequency of those trucks, the likelihood of having a trailer with a tractor with a trailer more than one at a time is going to be very low. And if that does happen, you know, there are two ways of getting into this area from Washington, so it doesn't have to be one intersection versus the other. But again, generally, the frequency is going to be, the amount of truck traffic is low and the frequency is going to be low.
So I'm, in my mind, I'm thinking, as Alderman Hayes has said, you come out either Knoll or LeBaron, you're going from there to Waukegan Road, so you're going to take a right turn. You're never going to have to go left. You're always going to take a right.
Right.
And if you're coming from Waukegan Road to LeBaron or Knoll Street, you're going to take a left into those two streets. So there would be no need for an additional stoplight or anything like that because, it's, I mean, I know in transportation you always want to go right. You always want to go right.
Especially, yeah, especially.
And that's been accommodated by both LeBaron and Knoll. You can take a right to Waukegan Road,
Right.
which is where they're going. If they're coming from Waukegan Road here, obviously you have to take a left to get on there from, okay. That's
Yeah, you're crossing only one
right.
direction of traffic.
Correct.
There are turn lanes. And, you know, again, it's a lot of this happening during off-peak hours, so the demand of traffic at those intersections is not going to be that high, where, you know, the chances of having two trucks waiting at the same time is going to be very low.
Thank you.
Oh, may I?
Yes, Alderman.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm kind of following Alderman Hayes's train of thought here. I too went out and visited the site, met with some representatives from Kennedy Construction. I talked to one resident on Lakewood, but so as I look at this presentation, and I appreciate it because it better illustrates the layout, as it changes my perception or clears my perception of what the layout is going to be. So just focusing on the traffic, these trucks with the entry to and from the entry exit to and from the lot is down here towards the bottom. That would be to the north, if you will, the north end of the lot. and you can see down at the very bottom of the screen, there's a house right there, right? So we've been talking about this apartment complex up here, top left, but these houses along Oakwood, there's only 4 or 5 down there. They're not going to be immediately impacted by trucks coming in and out of that lot. They're not going to come north by those houses. But what's going to happen when they swing out and head south, in this case, that south is up, right? They're heading south. Any of these residents down here are going to be competing with that truck traffic. But that could be, you know, somebody said, well, that's the cost of doing a business, right? And they're right there by the industrial zone. But if you follow that street where the truck comes out, makes a left, and it goes all the way up, and you see another little cross street, that's Monroe, and then there's a sharp left, and that is LeBaron. So what happens when those trucks start backing up at that sharp right turn down there onto Monroe and that sharp left turn onto LeBaron? And when they get down to the stop sign at Washington Street, right? So you got 5, 6, 8 trucks backing up. They could conceivably be backed up from Washington Street all the way back to the parking lot, conceivably, right, or potentially. Well, now, hold my thought. Hold the thought. Now, also, what's not shown on here, and what Alderman Hayes was trying to describe is where this bunch of trees is down here at the bottom, and over further to the right, there's another street that's called Lakewood. Lakewood runs between Grand and Monroe. And all along that stretch from Grand to Monroe, there's houses and apartment buildings. Additionally, there are other houses, again, to the west of Lakewood. And a number of those residents use Lakewood to cut down to Monroe, and they come out on LeBaron or Knoll, so this is potentially going to cause a huge traffic problem. I don't see how it can't. A minimum of 92 trucks. And how do we know? If they say now they're going to bring 92 trucks. What if in 3 months they're bringing 192? What are we going to do about it? So my concern is this, and also down on Knoll and LeBaron, you have a number of businesses that are dependent upon traffic, their employees, their customers, their cartage program getting in and out and having utilization or being able to access Knoll and LeBaron, et cetera, et cetera. So I think this is, you know, I met with them, and I got to tell you, I'm probably the most pro-business guy up here, believe it. But thank you. But I lend my ear, I listen, I consider, I deliberate, I meet with people, I talk with people, I hear the presentations. I got to tell you, I'm not in favor of this. This is going to be a huge traffic quagmire, and I don't think that alone is a good idea.
Thank you, Alderman Turner. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. You had alluded to the fact of how many individuals from this area will be hired. Can you maybe repeat that again? Not to make you redundant, but please tell us again.
And I'll have some follow-up questions for the traffic expert, if necessary.
Hi, I'm Kyle DiGiulio with Amazon's Economic Development Team. Thank you for your time tonight. Sorry, Kyle DiGiulio with Amazon's Economic Development Team. So what was mentioned previously, so our existing building in Waukegan currently employs about 150 Waukegan residents in full-time roles. That does not include part-time and seasonal roles at that facility. The new facility, there is not a requirement for a certain amount of Waukegan residents to be employed at, although certainly we are hiring right now to launch that facility in the next couple of weeks. And there has been significant interest from Waukegan residents on top of our existing facility.
Okay. Chairman, I have one question for Amazon.
Okay, yes.
When obviously you are proposing this because of an increase in business, I'm assuming Amazon has an increase in business. When you buy Amazon, if it's increasing in the state of Illinois or city of Waukegan, how is that sales tax? That would be sales tax generated here, or is that not how Amazon works?
So good question. So the reason we're looking for this particular lot
is because the ideal, if you look at other sites that have a similar use for us in this region, the parking requirement for trailers is significantly higher than what we could get at the existing development. So this allows us to operate at 100% capacity. So that's why I mentioned previously, that's why it should be 800 jobs. If we can't operate at 100% capacity, that number drops. So that's why those are tied together. As far as sales tax are concerned, the two locations that we have at that development, one generates sales tax in Illinois, the other does not. So the existing building, that's a point of sale. It's called an extra large fulfillment center. That's where that item you order from Amazon.com lives. Sales tax is generated from there. The new building is a middle mile solution, so basically an interchange between fulfillment centers, potentially in Wisconsin, potentially in Indiana, bringing in packages that are sorted and then sent out to our last mile delivery network. So the new building, unfortunately, because of the laws in Illinois, does not generate sales tax revenue.
And just to be clear, sorry, Alderman Moiseo, the trailers are connected to the new building.
Correct. Only
So
to
there'll
the new,
be no
only to the new
sales
building.
tax connected to this particular project.
I followed it.
Okay, any other questions, Alderman Mosio?
I have a
Not
quick
at this
question.
time.
Okay, Alderman Hayes?
For the Amazon representative, thank you for being here. Who else did you shop proposals to for a parking facility in the area?
So I'm not part of our real estate team. This has been a search that has gone on for well over a year. We've looked throughout Lake County. Because this lot serves that facility, concerns about the environment, we can't have it too far away. It needs to be within a certain distance of that facility.
Sure.
So it was pretty local, Lake County. I couldn't look in Wisconsin for this type of space. This is it. I mean, we've worked with Lake County partners to try to identify other sites, economic development staff with the city. This is the option that we have, and I don't like standing up here and trying to say this is the only, like, it literally is the only site that we could find to work with.
And is that, if you'll indulge me for a second, is that because other potential sites rejected the proposals?
There's not. No, it's literally it's a factor of, one, we have an existing building, so we identified that site for that middle mile component, a building we call MKE6, and then the parking requirement in the facility. So I can't. Let me just take a step back. First, we start with the building. Parking is secondary. So the building typically needs more parking, as I mentioned previously. We couldn't even find an industrial building in this region with enough parking. So we found an industrial building that was short. That was phase one. Phase two was to find parking to accommodate that building to operate at capacity. Does that make sense?
That does make sense, yeah. But you're here, Amazon's here, you're established.
Yeah.
Amazon's presence is not contingent upon this parking lot.
It's not contingent on this, and I'm not here to suggest that at all.
Sure.
What I am suggesting, because it's true, is we can't operate that facility at 100% capacity. So long term, that facility doesn't make sense operating at 50%.
Okay.
I have another question.
Yes, Alderman Mosio?
Obviously, Amazon likes to operate at 100%. How long is your lease with Bridge?
I don't actually have that. Is someone from Bridge here?
It's not infinitum, it's not probably 5, whatever.
Our typical leases for this type of building are about 10 years.
And is there any other facilities that Amazon operates that aren't at 100%?
For the most part, no. I mean, we never operate any building at 100% of its maximum capacity anyway, because of the negative impacts that people have expressed before around traffic congestion and so on. Whenever a building reaches a certain threshold of capacity, we find new sites. So this building complements a number of others in the area, specifically around our last mile, this building that this parking lot supports, specifically on our last mile delivery network. So taking a giant step back, if you order something from Amazon, let's say that if you're a Waukegan resident today, that item you order, depending on what it is, could live in a fulfillment center in Kenosha, which you've probably driven by. That item leaves that facility, arrives at our new building here in Waukegan. It's sorted by delivery zip codes. These particular trailers would arrive at that building, be loaded with those packages, and then take them to our last mile delivery facility, in which the van then takes that out. So not being able to operate this building at our intended capacity, not 100%, say 80% of what it probably needs to operate at today, limits our ability to deliver to customers throughout this region, because we can't then get those packages to those new delivery stations that we have planned. So it causes a ripple effect. And just one more thing while I have the microphone, and I know there's probably other questions. the traffic volume that we can generate out of this lot, these trucks are not going to the site, coming back. That number is relatively fixed for the reason that an empty trailer, these are all empty. When an empty trailer here goes to the facility and loads up, it's filled with packages and it goes to a delivery station in that region and then comes back that day. So it's not making multiple trips between multiple facilities a day. So that 92 number is not going to become 300. It's relatively fixed.
That's 92, that's, okay, all right.
Okay, any other questions?
Real quick, I don't need a crystal ball to know, and Amazon hasn't become what it's become because it likes to operate half-assed. So, thanks for being here for a while. You'll be looking somewhere else, I'm sure.
Alderman Florian, you have a question?
I do. The noise study person, I don't, okay. When I was reading the documents we have, it specifically stated that the noise ordinance in Waukegan will be broken. I don't know what the exact word was, but will be exceeded. And now earlier you were trying to say that that's not really going to happen. So is it going to be broken or is it not going to be broken?
We don't believe it'll be broken based on the wording of the noise ordinance. That again is a continuous noise source, and a lot of the truck noise does not generally meet that, as it's supposed to be at 10 minutes. So the sound levels we used for the study were based on a similar type facility that had trucks come in and unload or idle and then park them. And so based on that and looking at the average sound, which we believe is representative of the continuous sound there, that was our table 3, which you mentioned, which showed
Okay,
that
so it's not going to be continuous noise, but when the noise is there, it will exceed the noise ordinance. And this will go on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay.
I'm sorry, may we have your name, please?
Sorry, Ryan Garner with
I'm
China
sorry.
Acoustics.
Thank you.
I probably didn't give him a chance
No,
to
that's
say
all right.
his name, sorry.
Any other questions? Alderman Mosial.
This is for council. This is a conditional use permit, correct?
No, it's a text amendment.
Text amendment, but
So there is,
text amendment and a
well,
conditional use both.
what is being asked for is a text amendment which would allow this type of use as a conditional use. The petitioner is also then asking for a conditional use permit.
How restrictive is our conditional use permit policy, or how much teeth do we have in a conditional use?
So it depends on if there are standards that are built into the zoning code. You cannot, when you create a conditional use, under Illinois law, the presumption is that it is an appropriate use subject to conditions that are set forth in the ordinance. So right now, the ordinance does not provide, the text amendment as proposed does not provide conditions. That is something that the petitioner's attorney indicated they're open to, and you would be able to, as members of the council, suggest if you wanted to add in certain standards and conditions.
My whole goal is to try to make this work. I get the concerns, but I also, I beg to differ about being number one in business up here, Alderman Turner, but that's for another day. I would like to try to work this out to try to make it work. There's nothing else going there. It's been vacant forever. There's nothing else going on. I've been out there millions of times. And I'm glad nobody brought up the thing about it being unsightly, because we haven't done a damn thing about Washington and LeBaron for the 18 years I've been on the city council. Not one administration has done anything about that eyesore. So I'm not going to go down the road of it being unsightly. I get the traffic. Alderman Hayes, I get about the traffic. Is there any way we could button up our conditional use permit that if it wasn't what we wanted, that we could go from there? I mean, I get it. You don't want to restrict a business or anybody else. You don't want to put them in a box that they end up not being able to perform, and then, you know, they're out. But I'm trying to find a way to balance this. I don't know if there is, but maybe there is with some more discussion. I mean, we're going to vote it in committee now. It's not going to come to the city council for another 2 weeks, correct? So we have some time there. So I would hope that we can try to find a happy median on this. And I've been on here 18 years, and I keep telling you guys, we're not business friendly. We are the hardest people in the world to work with. We are the hardest people in the world to work with. And you wonder why no one's invested in Waukegan. We're too hard, we're too difficult. And I'm not saying this is the panacea of development, obviously. But can we sit down, can we talk, and possibly hash this out and make it work for everybody? I get the residents' concerns, I do. But we have got to start to change our attitude about being business friendly.
Can I say something? to
Hold
that?
on. Alderman Seeger had his hand up.
Okay.
I have a question. Alderman Mosey brought up. He said in the past, LeBaron Street, Washington Street, Knoll Street hasn't been touched in years. I lived on Oakwood Avenue. Will any of these trucks somewhat go down Oakwood Avenue?
There's no need. No. No.
Will any go north?
No. No.
So they're all headed south.
Yeah.
I would just comment to, if I could answer your question, we don't really have any control. Once the trucks are there, it's not like we're going to have police officers over there or ordinance, personnel over there checking to see which direction the trucks are going. Now, I don't want to speculate and go too far afield, but there's nothing from stopping them from going any which way. A truck driver's in a hurry, they're on a schedule, it's Amazon. They're dialed in. They have a place to go. So I would just, if I could, just as a follow-up comment to your point.
It only takes 5 minutes to drop a trailer. 5 minutes at the most.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hate my alarm clock. I can't even tell you. I don't have the
Why you have
vocabulary to
lights
tell you
on
how I
that
feel about a
back
truck.
end of that tractor.
Okay, any further comments?
Alderman Florian.
Alderman Florian.
I just want to point out, I hear what you're saying, Alderman Moisio, and I understand how difficult things can be sometimes to get them to work. But one of the problems with this particular situation is this isn't just about this parking lot. Now we open up the possibility that these will be all over the city. We've been told by staff that we've had numerous requests for people to have parking lots just like this throughout our whole city. Do you want one in your ward or your neighborhood or on your street?
Thank you for the segue. I have talked to Noel about that, and I would like to get a text amendment that it has to be a business in Waukegan.
Well, but even so, so we have 1,000
My neighbor is not zoned industrial.
Yeah.
Well,
Neither is Alderman Turner's, neither is yours.
I would argue this is an industry. This is parking trucks. This is not industry.
It's zoned industrial. The whole area is industrial.
Well, then why do they need a text amendment to do this?
Because of it's a truck lot. I get the point, but that so do we keep things do we keep things the same way for 30, 40 years?
Yep, that's the way they do it. So
Just keep the same ordinances. Don't change anything for 30, 40 years.
Okay, Alderman Turner.
Yeah, real quick, because I know we have to start our council meeting, but I wonder if there might be a solution in arranging some kind of metered system where the trucks can go, you put 8 trucks out, 10 trucks out, and metered lights at Washington or something like that. But we have 2 weeks before it comes before council. What I suggest we do is pass it out of committee and work on it for the next couple of weeks and then talk about it again at that time.
Thank you, Alderman Hayes.
My last point, Greg, thank you, Alderman Moisio, thank you for your comments. The property, I want to just make a correction. The property is not vacant now. No, there's no one living there, but it is owned by a company. They are using it for storage. It's my understanding that they pay some taxes on that property, but it is not vacant property. It's not like it's desolate property or it's been abandoned. And the final point I want to make is let's not pass an ordinance that we then have to find our way to legislate our way out of a bad decision. Like to say, yes, we'll pass this, but let's then put stricter standards on the conditional use permit, or then have to create additional paperwork and additional standards to permit this decision. We'd be going a very long way to accommodate a singular piece of property, and it just opens up the door for people down the road to stand at that podium and say, well, you did it for them, why won't you do it for me? So
Point taken.
Okay, if there are no...
One last comment. Thank you.
Okay, last comment, Alderman.
Thank you, Alderman Hayes. But, you know, I validate the fact that we as a city need to become more business-friendly. We need to support our businesses because, you know, we need to grow as a city. So that's all I had to say.
Okay, so do we take a vote or?
Yes, we have to call the question.
All right, we have a motion.
Call the question for B, D, and then C, and then D, and then F.
All right. Item B, zoning calendar, 2636, text amendment to sections 10.3-4 and 13.2 to allow storage, outdoor storage of semi-trailers as a conditional use and define such use.
We have a motion by Alderman Moiseo and a second by Alderman Turner.
And we have a motion by Alderman Mosio, seconded by Alderman Turner.
Yep.
Roll call?
Alderman Hayes,
No.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
No.
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera, Chairman Rivera.
No.
On item C.
Okay, item C, zoning calendar number 2637, conditional use permit for outdoor storage of semi-trailers at 405 Lakewood Avenue, 435 Lakewood Avenue, and 3230 Dorchester Avenue. May I have a first and a second?
I think we had, didn't we have a motion for all four, Councilor?
Yeah, we
Hayes?
did. We had a motion was for
They
all
need to
four.
be separate actions because
Okay.
they're separate petitions.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Alderman Turner. Roll call, please.
Alderman Hayes,
No.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
No.
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Chairman Rivera.
No. Okay, item D, zoning calendar number V-2-21, vacation of Dorchester Avenue east of Lakewood Avenue. May I have a first and a second?
First, second. I'll make the motion.
I'll second, doesn't matter. Either way.
Either way.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Hayes,
No.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
No.
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Chairman Rivera.
No. Okay, item E, zoning calendar 2638, preliminary and final plat of consolidation subdivision. May I have a first and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Hayes,
No.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
No.
Alderman Moiseo,
Aye.
Chairman Rivera.
No.
I just want to make a point of clarification that for the audience, a committee vote is not binding. The only thing that matters is when this will come to City Council 2 weeks from now. This is just a recommendation. This is not a final vote. The only vote that matters is the vote of the City Council in 2 weeks.
Yeah, this is, like Alderman Mosio said, a recommendation made to the city council. Okay, next item is number 5, reports and communications. There being none. Number 6 is adjournment. May I take a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Alderman Turner, seconded by Alderman Mosio. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.